Everyone loves to shop on Amazon. The convenience and fast shipping is just unmatched. Over the past year, I've collected some absolutely essential Amazon desk accessories that make your space cleaner, more functional, and just plain better to use. As my desk setup has evolved over the years, I realized that one of the most important aspects of a desk setup that's also super underrated is charging. When I'm sitting down for a long gaming or editing session, I just want to be sure that I can have all of my devices be charging in an easy, accessible, and clutter-free manner. The problem is I have to choose between either having a huge mess of cords or not having enough cords to charge all my devices at once. Thankfully, having a 3-in-1 charger goes a long way in solving this problem. With just one cord, this charger can deliver power to my iPhone, Apple Watch, and AirPods all at the same time. It uses MagSafe, and that way I can use my iPhone's always-on display while I'm sitting at my desk, and it doesn't look out of place like a huge pile of cords would. Far from being an eyesore, this thing actually adds to my desk's aesthetic, and it also adds quite a bit of functionality as well. Look, I have a pretty large desk. It's 72 inches wide and 30 inches deep. Even still, I find myself cluttering my desk fairly easily and finding the need for a place to either display items or to store items out of the way when they're not in use. A desk shelf gives that perfect balance of providing an elevated space to display key items and also providing space underneath to store items that you're not using right away. I use mine to display some personal items and also keep things like my Nintendo Switch Pro controller or the controller for my light bar within arm's reach. At the same time, when I'm not using one of my keyboards, I can just store it underneath the desk shelf, and that way it doesn't take up unwanted space. Desk shelves can also serve as a stand for monitors, but since both of my monitors are on arms, I don't personally have a use for that. But no matter what you have in mind specifically, a desk shelf can provide a third dimension to your desk setup that otherwise isn't possible. I enjoy a desktop computer as much as the other guy, and my Mac Mini and my gaming PC both prove that. But there's just something about the portability of a laptop that's absolutely unmatched. My M2 Max MacBook Pro has served me very well for the past almost 3 years, and whether I'm on the go or I have it running my entire setup like it is right now, it absolutely crushes everything. But when I'm at home and editing, I need a place for it to sit without actually being in the way. There are a few options. You can buy something like a laptop holder, and that way it displays your laptop screen on your desk. Me personally though, since I have 2 monitors already, I don't find this third screen necessary, and if anything, I'd rather just reclaim the desk space that the laptop would be taking up. For a while, I used a stand that allowed my MacBook to stay closed and stay upright on my desk, and that worked great until I found an even better option. These screw-on holders allow me to place the MacBook on the side of the desk. That way I can route cables underneath the desk and hide them away, and then the laptop can just sit, plug in, and power the entire setup without taking up a single square inch of desk space. It also allows for really convenient setup and teardown when I have to go to a coffee shop or something like that. Plus, since they come in a pack of 2 separate holders, then you can adjust the space in between them to hold larger laptops or journals or whatever else that you want to store there. I love gaming. As a proud owner of a PS5 Pro, a Switch 2, and a gaming PC, I spend a decent amount of time at my setup just relaxing and not just working. But as time went on, I realized I wanted my controllers to actually be visible on my desk just because of the aesthetic that they provide. I also wanted them to be easily accessible and to be fully charged every time that I wanted to pick them up. And sure, I could have just used a series of cables, but that's not exactly the aesthetic that I'm going for. So instead I got these dedicated controller chargers for both my Switch Pro controller and my DualSense Edge controller. This way I can have the most aesthetic, easily accessible way to charge my controllers on my desk, and each time that I want to game, they're just ready to go. Okay, this may be a little bit of a weird one, but hear me out. Anytime I'm working at my desk, my PC is literally a heater. So while some areas of the house or even in my room might be cooler, the area that I'm sitting near my desk is always going to be a few degrees higher. So I wanted a dedicated, small, battery-powered thermometer to sit on my desk. That way I know exactly what the specific temperature is that I am experiencing when I'm sitting near my PC. This thing literally gets used every single day. It's super cheap and it tracks both temperature and humidity. And technically my HomePods do have thermometers inside of them, but from my experience and also some support from other users on the internet, the thermometers inside the HomePods are always a few degrees off. So I went to get this separate accessory, and that's provided a way more fine-tuned experience for me. That way I know whether I need to turn on the AC or open a window, or in the winter just let the room heat up a little bit to 1/10 of a degree of precision. Just because we work at our desks doesn't mean that we shouldn't be comfortable at them. In fact, I'm a firm believer that if you use your desk setup fairly often, you should be investing in ergonomics as much as possible. Things like getting a standing desk for the adjustable sitting height or a dedicated ergonomic office chair can be some of the best investments for your posture and your long-term health that you can make. But what about the times that you want to just recline in your chair and relax? That's where this plush footrest comes in. When I'm sitting upright, I can just rest my feet on the floor, but as soon as I tilt back in my chair, then my feet aren't really in a comfortable position anymore. But this thing solves that issue entirely. It's elevated and it's soft, and it has a nice curve to it that allows my feet to be placed at any angle that I'd like. Add on top of the fact that I can move it literally anywhere that I want, and you get the perfect footrest. And I have used other things like under-desk hammocks, and those are fine. But this is by far the most comfortable and versatile solution that I've found for this use case. I know it's kind of becoming a popular trend on the internet to have a headphone hanger that sits on your desk. And look, I get it. Headphone hangers provide a very particular aesthetic style to your desk setup. For me though, I don't really want my headphones on my desk, and that's just purely personal preference. So I got this under-desk headphone hanger. It's incredibly easy to install since it's just adhesive, and it holds 2 pairs of headphones for you. That way I have a very easily accessible and out of the way place that I can store both of my headphones. One of the most important things that we can do for our eye health is to have bias lighting around our monitor. Bias lighting is basically ambient lighting that surrounds the screen that we're looking at. When our eyes have something bright like a screen that they have to focus on that's surrounded immediately by this kind of black wall of darkness, our eyes kind of have to adjust to both the brightness of the screen and the darkness of the room at the same time. That's going to create some eye strain, but as long as you have bias lighting around your monitor, then that's going to mitigate that problem. I used the Philips Hue light strip on the back of my monitor to give this bias lighting. Not only does this give this great nighttime aesthetic to my setup, but since it's a smart light, it also syncs to Apple Home and to Siri, and it can display any color that I'd like since it's RGB. Highly recommend that you pick something like this up. Your eyes will thank you in the long run. And finally, I actually saved the best for last here. I have one of the most premium office chairs that money can buy, and that's the Herman Miller Embodied Gaming. And look, for a chair, then it has pretty comfortable armrests. But even still, I have yet to find any office chair that has armrests that don't start to hurt my elbows after I use them for a few hours. It's really important for me to have comfortable armrests since I always use them at about desk height to support my arms while I'm typing or using my mouse. These memory foam armrests are just a complete game changer. I'll admit they do look a little funny, but they're so comfortable. These completely solve the problems that I've had with every armrest that I've used on every office chair. They're soft and they don't give that constant contact pressure that most armrests give you when you just rest your elbows on them. But at the same time, they're not too soft and malleable, they're firm enough so that you actually do feel supported. Whether you use your desk for gaming, work, or anything in between, it's really important to have desk accessories that elevate your day-to-day experience. Whether it's to clean up your aesthetic, provide functionality, or support your posture. Thankfully, these products are just a click and a one-day delivery away at Amazon. After using all of these for several months, I highly recommend that you check these products out. None of this is sponsored, but all the links to the products I mentioned are going to be in the description below. Let me know what desk accessories that you use in the comments.